All right, welcome to the show. So, why is CPAC giving President Trump a platform? The question, well, probably going to find out in just a little bit. I've not watched it. I know I'm getting ready to pull it up, so I really don't know. I know the headline is out there about CPAC, and I've been real busy and been keeping up with why they're going to give President Trump a platform. So this is the first time seeing it, something new for me. I'm going to watch at the same time you folks do. And hey, we're going to do that when you guys get back, and we will rock and roll. Tried to hit the timing on it, just didn't get there. But anyway, maybe a little delay. Maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was a delay there, But anyway, so let's think about this. My favorite person that I do not like, Chris Cuomo, the brother of that guy up in New York that's kind of jacked up everything he's touched with the COVID-19, the Oscar or Emmy winner. The new star, the one that the Hollywood folks just adored and fall over top of, and and all the press just couldn't wait to touch him and get his autograph, and they've become inundated with the governor up there. But boy, has he blown it! Has he blown it and lied to everybody when he done it, and then over 15,000 deaths with COVID. Come on, folks. That's nothing but a narcissistic, arrogant individual. Now, he wanted to call out everybody else about this, and President Trump about being narcissistic and all. Well, you know what? If that's what he truly believes and that's what he thinks, well, then he should know what he is. But anyway, so enough on that. And of course, the press, his brother, the conflict of interest, Mr. Conflict here, Chris Cuomo, has got a lot to say, of course, against the president. So we're going to find out what he has to say about this, and there's going to be an interview, and I don't know, I'm going to do something a little different. I may stop it and talk to you. I may let it roll through. But this is the first, so let's try it out. Let's see how it goes, because I want to hear what he has to say. So here we go.
Trump's going to make his first presidential appearance this weekend at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando, CPAC. The same time, his former VP Mike Pence declined a chance to speak, supposedly because the former president and VP are supposed to stay quiet after the inauguration. That's why he says he's not going. Let's talk about who is going.
Okay, so they're supposed to stay quiet after the inauguration. So let's think. Was that done at the last inauguration from the previous president? No, it wasn't. So who makes up this rule? Who decides what somebody can say? I mean, is this the lean in on the freedom of speech? This is the big tech giants still telling people what they can and what they can't say. I find that amazing that you're not supposed to talk. But yeah, it was okay for the last president to get out there and tap dance, whatever he wanted to do, sing, make his appearance, make his statements to anybody and anybody listen, and promote, get up in your face and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. If that's what he wants to do, go for it. This is America. Whatever he does, stand for what you believe in and believe what you stand for. Reality is simple. How do you have one set of rules for one side of the group and then another set of rules for the other side? And who decides who can speak and who can't, when they can speak, where they speak? Of course, Cuomo does. That's right, Cuomo. I'm sorry. So let's hear about what he has to say a little bit about this.
The chairman of CPAC, Matt Schlapp. Good to see you, Matt. Why is this the right move for CPAC to give Trump the platform which somewhat presents him as a future prospect?
Well, I mean, the reason why it's right for President Trump to be at CPAC is because he just spent 4 years enacting the most conservative policy we've ever seen from any president, certainly any Republican president. And 73 million Americans voted for him. They thought the policies helped make America strong. We weren't apologizing overseas. The forgotten men and women had great economic prospects. And, you know, he simply did what he said he was going to do. So why not have him speak? It seems to me that it makes perfect sense that he would come back and talk to his followers and faithful and talk about what's going to happen in the future.
Because it makes CPAC tacitly endorsing his election farce.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Well, he lied about the election being a fraud, and you having him there and giving him a platform seems to be your...
So let's talk about this. So Cuomo is now not an anchor. He's become a shock jock. He tells him what he thinks, what he hears him saying, and he's telling him the storyline from the get-go. So if you look at him, he's a shock jock. He's no different than Howard Stern. I mean, shock jocks. That's what these guys do. He's not a news anchor. You know, CNN's they don't have news anchors anymore. So he's telling him what he thinks, not what they think. So here we go. Let's move forward.
Of the same. If you have him on the platform, then you're saying,
so
yeah,
we
like
going
what he
to
says.
spend. I'd love you to look at our agenda. We're actually going to spend a lot of time going through what happened in these states. You said several things in the previous interview that simply aren't true. You said that these states were simply following state law. I was in the state of Nevada. That's simply not true.
No, I didn't.
Clark County,
I didn't say that.
Clark County was not following state law.
I didn't say that. What I said was...
What do you mean?
I'll tell you. What I said was, it is not true that any state decided that it was doing something wrong. And states get to decide. And it was adjudicated. You just don't like that you lost in the state. You don't like that the Supreme Court refused to see any merit to your claims.
So, again, he gets back, evidence was never heard. What was heard was procedure. The courts didn't want to hear evidence. And that's what, you know, Cuomo fails to put out there. No, or the other. Regardless of the side that you line up on the concept, you have to look at the court case. You have to look at, they're not looking at evidence. They don't want evidence. They don't want to have to rule on evidence. It's easier to slap down on procedure. That way evidence is never heard and the controversy goes away. That is just the way the law works. So let's go into this a little bit further.
Like that when you say people voted in places where they didn't live, the numbers were lower than you suggested and were found unimpressive to the court. You don't like those things.
So the numbers were lower than he suggested, were unimpressive to the court. So a little bit is okay. A little bit of cheating is okay. Okay, Chris, I'm listening to you. Just a little bit. As long as it's a little bit, we're okay. Just a little bit.
Things, but those things are true.
I don't like those things, but it's still very important that we go back to the idea of legal voting, and people should be legally registered to vote in order to vote. That people, I don't think it's very controversial to say that people should vote one time, and when you're in the midst of a pandemic,
yeah, but you don't have a significant number of people who voted more than once.
You shouldn't be able to vote in two states.
It's not conceptual.
That's not true.
It's not conceptual, though, Matt. I hear what you're saying. I've heard you say it a lot.
Just because you win,
I'm just saying it's just not true.
Well, you had me on the show, and you're telling me that saying that there was widespread illegal voting is false, and I'm trying to explain to you that, for instance, what they did in the state of Georgia when they had an illegal consent decree to mind you, not verify the signatures of mail-in ballots, which is what they also did in Clark County, essentially. That means that you have no security on the ballot that was mailed out without unsolicited vast mail-in ballots. They were returned with no security. You can't have an election in another country that the State Department would accept these types of ground rules. So we got to go back to voting in a legal and orderly manner.
But Matt, you're making a straw man argument. It's a boogeyman argument. There is no proof of rampant fraud. Nobody's saying the process is perfect. You lost. And now you're going to keep that going. Steve Scalise the other day on TV, you guys really want the conservative movement to be made on the back of a lie about the election?
Let me just go through a couple things you just said.
Sure.
Joe Biden is my president, okay? He won the election.
Good.
That doesn't mean that there wasn't voter fraud and voter irregularity in the last election. You know, there's a Republican who went to jail for voter fraud in North Carolina.
Right.
It can't just be Republicans that commit voter fraud. When voter fraud occurs, no matter who
No, but you
commits it,
need to
it
have
should be
proof,
fully
Matt.
prosecuted. And
You have to have proof that it would have
we have
changed an
thousands.
outcome.
We have it.
You don't
We
have
have it, but you're right. You're right. We do have it.
You
I'd love to
can't
sit down.
have
Hey,
it
would
because
sit
you
down
had
and go through it
chances
with
to
me?
produce it. You had
Would you
chances
sit
to
down?
produce it. Matt,
Would
no.
you sit down
No,
and go
because you
through
had
the
your
evidence
chance
with
at
me?
this.
You won't do it.
Matt, you had your chance.
You never, nobody.
Matt, why do you ignore
Chris,
that
let me
dozens
just
of
try to-
lawsuits?
So he challenged Cuomo, will you sit down and look at the proof? It's the same thing that they said to the courts. Will you sit down and look at the proof? And the court says, no, I will not look at the proof. The proof doesn't mean anything. The cake tastes wonderful, and we don't care how you had to get there. We love the cake. The cake is great. The icing is great. We don't care how it was baked. We don't care that you didn't put the right product in it. We don't care that you may have slipped just a little arsenic in it because it will only make you just a little sick. Think about that. It doesn't really matter about the proof. You heard what he said. It doesn't matter about the proof. Now let's watch it a little bit further.
It's failed on this.
Let me.
Why ignore it?
You're right. They did fail, but guess what? You know this. You're a good lawyer. Just because you fail in court doesn't mean you don't have a good case. It means you lost in court. And the fact remains that you can say it wasn't enough voter fraud. I don't think any voter fraud is acceptable. I actually think we should try to get rid of all of it. You should.
Oh, no. Oh, come on. You just didn't say that, Matt. Come on, Matt. That's anti-American. You got to have some. Come on. You got to have a little bit, Matt. You got to have a little bit of voter fraud. I mean, come on. It's not America if you don't get it. Because remember, Cuomo just said it's only a little. Little's okay. Yeah, that's what he said. So, yeah, you know what? It's like a little pregnant. Just being a little pregnant's okay. As long as you're not completely pregnant, right? Isn't that right? Can you be almost pregnant? Or think about that. Just a little, maybe. Something like that. Let's go a little bit further and see.
Never be able to mail. You should never be able to vote through the mail in this country without somebody on the other side making sure it was you and making sure that you're a legally registered voter.
Georgia state officials.
You must agree with that. Chris, do you agree with what I just said?
I
You must
agree
with that.
I agree with the premise. I don't agree with the proposition of what happened. There is no proof that there was a problem based on your suspicion. Georgia said there
I'll
was
sit
no
down and
fraud.
show you the proof. Would you
Georgia
sit down with
says
me
there was no
and go through the
fraud,
proof?
and these are your people.
That's not right.
They are Republicans.
That's not right. No,
it is right.
No,
they
you're
said
not right. No,
I am right.
Nobody ever said there was no. Nobody ever said there was no fraud in Georgia. What they actually
the Georgia
said was
officials said
that
exactly
they were going to not check the signatures on the mailed-in ballots. And if you don't
heard
check the
Georgia
signatures
state
on the
officials.
mailed-in ballots, you can't
heard
know
Georgia.
if that's a legal ballot.
Matt,
and you
come on.
can't run a democracy that way.
Matt, listen. If you want to make things better, make them better. I'm just telling you, these arguments are making things worse.
I do that every day, my friend.
These are your
I do that every day, and I
officials
think
in Georgia from your party who said there was no fraud here. Stop saying it. You're going to get us hurt. And then you did.
Chris, there was widespread voter fraud in the last election. In a bipartisan sense, Democrats and Republicans should agree on a couple things. You should be a registered voter to vote. Certainly if you're in a registration state. You should only vote once, and if you vote by mail, somebody at that election office should have to verify that signature according to the state statute. That did not happen in the state of Nevada, and that did not happen in Georgia, and that did not happen in
So, there's no, think about what he just said before. Cuomo's always trying to cut him off. See, he's always trying to push in there. Cuomo is acting like he's a prosecutor, not an anchor, which, well, he's not an anchor. The reality is Cuomo's not an anchor. That's a fact. He's more of a shock jock. When you sit there and watch him, and you think about all the fakeness that he had with his incident with COVID. I'm still not really sure what all went on with that, but you know, he's got to live with what he said and what he told and how he acted. But anyway, so he's not the upstanding citizen and can't be challenged on things that he says. But either way, it's worth listening to. But I mean, he's in the sense of the word, he's being a shock jock. But that's how they get paid. So let's go with that.
We're going to qualify.
You can say it's fine. I say let's never have an election like that ever again.
And if you're going to look, nobody should argue against improvements. What I'm saying is very simple, and you know this. What Trump
Very
did,
good. Very good.
What Trump did was, well, first of all, these same issues came up 4 years ago. You guys had a deaf ear. You said the Democrats were sore losers, and they didn't respect the process, and they were undermining democracy. So let's not get on our soapbox.
Oh, so he's not worried about it. He's like, oh, because it wasn't then, now it is now, and now it's back in verse, and nanny, nanny, boo-boo, we got you, nanny, nanny, boo-boo. That's what it sounded like he just said, a big old nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Funny. Oh, Cuomo just losing it. Look at that face. Look at that face.
Spent 4 years saying there was Russian collusion and that the election should be questioned, and Hillary Clinton said to Joe Biden he should never ever concede. And this is like hypocrisy.
Hold on.
Never
No, it's not. Here's why. Not only did I say there was collusion, I will say it now that there was collusion. Collusion is not a crime. It's a behavior. And Trump's people did what they do best. They did dumb things for bad reasons. But look, you made your arguments. I gave you your time. We'll look and see what happens at CPAC.
Bob Mueller found no collusion, my friend.
He did not find no collusion. Collusion is not a crime. He wasn't even looking at it as such. Learn to read, my brother. It's right in the details. I gotta go.
There was nothing inappropriate with Russia in the 2016 election.
He never said that.
Good to see you, my friend.
Never said it. Good to see you.
He did.
I'm glad to offer the platform. Let the people decide. Matt Schlapp, CPAC. Let's see.
What a clown. This guy is America's clown. And you know, that's a great photo right there. That ought to be a poster for the clowns. You know, you invite somebody onto a show and then you chastise and you won't let them finish their sentence, and then you want to tell them what they're thinking and what went on. Now, folks, this election was definitely what I'm going to call as a fustercluck. And why is it a fustercluck? Simply because there were no checks and balances in place. Now, you have clowns like this going there, and they talk about Russian collusion, and he's a lion, and you know, he needs to go back and read the Mueller report. I actually took time to read that. It was dull, it was boring, and it would put you to sleep. But I got sick and tired of people telling me what I was supposed to think. I went back and read the report, and he's a liar. This guy here is not telling the truth. He is a public official. He is in the public. He is seen by the public. He talks to the public, and yet he thinks and believes his own newscast. Now, say what you want to say, do what you want to do. But I'd ask myself, is this somebody that you want to listen to? If you're going to conduct an interview, you ask questions, you listen to answers. You ask questions, you listen to answers. You ask the question again, you get the answer. What he does is browbeat and go into a full throttle argument. Is this really, truly a journalist? Absolutely not. Has he ever been? Why does everybody think that attorneys can make the best guest hosts? Why does everybody think that an attorney, I mean, they want to get on TV and they want to argue cases like they're attorneys? That's not a problem. I can get on there and argue every day to the week with him, and he can be his attorney self. He may have been a good attorney, but that doesn't make him a newscaster or an anchor. It makes him an attorney. He is an attorney, and he represents the news group. That's all he is. He's not an anchor, nor is he a newscaster, nor is he a journalist. You know, he's an attorney, folks, and that's what attorneys do. They sell the opposite side of the case. It doesn't matter what it is. He is a freaking attorney. When you look at him, don't look at him as anything but an attorney. So I'm going to say what I can say what it is. There was a lot of fraud. There's always been a lot of fraud. But the problem is when is fraud, how much is okay and how much is enough and how much is not enough? And, you know, yeah, what is just, oh, it's a little bit? Come on. Well, it was only a little bit, you know. Well, they were only shot one time. It wasn't like they were shot 4 times. She's just a little bit pregnant, not a lot pregnant. You know, I was only going 1 mile an hour over 100, officer, and you know that's not bad. I mean, it's just first part of the 3 digits, so it's not bad. It's just that 1 mile over the 100. I mean, how many things can you argue that don't even make sense? So anyway, folks, when you listen to him, he's a CNN attorney, and he gives you the argument like an attorney, but he doesn't give you a lot of facts. This is Cuomo. It seems to me he's no different than his brother up there in New York. But hey, way it looks, his brother might need a good attorney. So maybe that's where he needs to put his art. Because what he's got is maybe just a little bit of, we can call this art, I guess, because there's some good art, some bad art. But folks, sad state of affairs over there when you got somebody like this representing you on a TV show. Sad. That's all I can say. But anyway, as it stands, as always, we want to do the best we can with what we got. We want to work hard in life. We always want to be real. We want to be safe. And we always want to be ready. So folks, have a great day, and we'll be seeing you soon.